Webinar being recorded. All right, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this grant program informational webinar. Thinking we could kick ourselves off here by introducing the 5 folks who have joined as panelists. I'll start. My name is Abby Armato. I'm with Main Street America. I am one of the associate managers for strategic projects, and I'll be leading our conversation today. I'll kick it over to Bethany.
Hello, everyone. I am Bethany Rogers, and I work with Abby as the Director of Strategic Projects for Main Street America. So I will also be running point on this program. Should you have future questions about the application process, have any issues with the submission, the platform that Abby's going to talk through with you, those kinds of things, I will be your point of contact. So excited about this program and look forward to working with you. And I'll pass it off to Katie.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining today. My name is Katie Eckstein. I'm the Director of Development for Main Street America for the national office. So I work with all of our wonderful donors and grants here at the center. So I will pass this over to Brendan, who is our representative from GM.
Everyone, nice to be here with you. As Katie mentioned, I'm Brendan Coyne. I'm the Community Development Program Officer for General Motors. So I'm just looking to see how GM can reinvest in the communities where employees live and work. Very excited to work with Main Street America for some placemaking builds and excited to see what you all propose.
Awesome, thank you. And Sylvie, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I am Sylvie Warfield. I am the membership assistant here at Main Street America, and I help man our general inbox. So I will be sort of a first point of contact for folks reaching out with initial inquiries about the grant program.
Awesome, thank you. And Sylvie will also be hanging out in the chat and the Q&A features of this Zoom. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop those into those two spaces, and Sylvie will be responding. All right, well, let's get started. So we're all here today to chat about the GM on Main Street grant program. Let's dive right in, shall we? So again, a huge thanks to GM, our sponsor, who is making this grant program possible. This is one of the many efforts that GM has underway to fund community initiatives nationwide for GM facilities and places where those facilities are. So a huge thank you. Brendan, that was a good introduction. Do you want to say anything else at this point? This is my GM appreciation slide.
Sure. Thanks for including this. I can just share a couple of our priorities on a general level, and then you guys can take it, to Main Street specific. But yeah, as you mentioned, well, we're always, at least I'm on the corporate giving team. So outside of the way our businesses reinvest into the communities where we have facilities, we're always trying to make philanthropic investments to build up the communities where our employees live and work. GM has over 40 facilities across the United States, and we want to make sure that each one of those locations is a place where our employees can be proud to live there, can be proud of the community they're engaged with. Specifically, programs that we really prioritize and are proud to be behind are programs that create safe, inclusive, and accessible places, particularly being a vehicle maker. And talking about a Main Street program, we're interested to see how can we make these commercial districts that are on a main street safe for vehicles, for pedestrians, for passengers, while still drawing people to these locations. And then, of course, we're always looking to see how we can, invest in maybe underfunded, underrepresented regions to create equitable and accessible places. So I'm sure that you all will have many great ideas for that. Abby can take it away with the Main Street America specific details, but no, we're really proud of this partnership. And like I said, just very excited for the year ahead.
Awesome. Thank you, Brendan. We are also thrilled to be partnering on such a fantastic alignment with mission here. So thank you so much again. All right, folks. So thinking more about the specific Main Street America work with GM here. The GM on Main Street grant program is going to be making 6 $25,000 grants to nonprofit organizations and municipal government entities to implement innovative and inclusive placemaking initiatives in publicly accessible locations in downtowns or commercial districts. This is going to be flexible funding to support placemaking efforts that will in turn support local economic development. And we're really looking to make sure and see that there are local partners who are demonstrating the commitment to equity and inclusion here. And this sort of another little highlight here, the project must be feasible to be completed in 6 months. So those are sort of the high level, the big bolded main idea and some 3 supporting ideas. And now we're going to jump in to look more specifically how we're getting that big idea off the ground and those 3 supporting ideas. On the right, you'll see a little promo image that our marketing communications team put together. We can make that available to you all as well, so you're able to share the opportunity with your community. So what do we mean when we say placemaking? As Main Street professionals, we think a lot about placemaking, talk a lot about placemaking, but really wanted to tee up this conversation talking about what specifically placemaking means in this context for this program. So this is just a really lovely quote from the Project Public Spaces about what placemaking is. And it really emphasizes that placemaking is a collaborative process. It's a community all hands on deck collaborative process that really focuses on creative patterns of use that pay particular attention to the physical, cultural, and social identities that define the place. So these are this quote is something that we think about a lot in Main Street America, and how we're sort of the kinds of projects we're hoping to see pop up in the proposals. So what does that look like in practice? Well, it can be a whole bunch of stuff. We've got murals, lighting, pocket parks, crosswalk designs, wayfinding signage, painted utility boxes, play and gathering spaces, sidewalk furniture, bike racks, landscaping, gardens, community green spaces. Really quite the gambit in terms of what your placemaking project can be focused on. Let's turn now and think about the criteria and eligibility for this grant program. So again, we've got 6 key pieces of criteria. Here are the first 3. Firstly, it needs to be a placemaking focused project. Specifically in a publicly accessible location in your downtown or commercial district. We're looking for projects that are innovative, so represents an experimental, creative, or entrepreneurial approach to placemaking on Main Street. We're also, again, looking to be sure that the project is inclusive of everybody in your community, and that's in terms of the design of the placemaking project, as well as the execution of the placemaking project. The last 3 criteria, feasibility, making sure that the proposed idea is feasible given the grant amount, though we also note that the grant amount can be a piece of a larger funding effort to implement your project. So if 25K becomes part of a larger 50 or 75K that you already have fundraised for, this grant program can be a supporting piece of the project you have. We're also looking for replicability, right? So is the proposed idea something that could be modeled or scaled for other Main Street programs to adopt and implement? And lastly, the project must be able to be completed by August 31st, 2023, which is about 6 months after disbursements for the grant award would be made. This funding can fund projects that are currently underway, but it's that completion date that we're really paying attention to, really looking for. In terms of eligibility, applicants need to be a 501c3 or 501c6 organization or a municipal government entity, and they must be based in one of 83 selected counties where many GM employees live, work, and play. Those 83 counties include over 100 Main Street America member organizations that are in or adjacent to GM facilities. So this grant program, again, is looking to support communities in those 83 counties across 10 states. The 10 states are Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, Missouri, Ohio, Tennessee, and Texas. The next couple of slides will just sort of highlight the key communities or key counties that are eligible. So I'll say the state name and then be quiet because I'm not gonna, I don't wanna read verbatim the 83 counties for you, but so here we go. So in Georgia, we've got these 15 counties. Illinois has 2, Indiana has 5, Kansas has 3, Kentucky has 4, Michigan has 13, Missouri has 6, and the 7th being the city of St. Louis. Ohio has 14, Tennessee has 8, and Texas has 13. Okay, those are eligibility and key criteria for projects. I want to also say that Main Street members, of course, are encouraged to apply. But if you don't have any placemaking projects underway, we wanted this program to be able to be shared with other partners in your county, with other community cultural entities, institutions, nonprofits, et cetera. So please feel free to share this opportunity to the partners that you're working with in your communities. Now we'll turn to the application process. So here's a quick snapshot of what we'll be talking about, and I'll go into more detail. So the application period, applications opened on Halloween, happy Halloween, and will close on December 2nd. That's a 4-week application period, which we felt was important because we know that third week, that's your Thanksgiving and Small Business Saturday week. So wanted to make sure you had time before and after to get those applications in. All applications will happen in our online application platform, Submittable, which we'll be looking at in a little bit more detail and chatting more about, but that's an online hub, online platform where all the questions will live, where all of the documents can be uploaded, et cetera. So the application itself will include basic organizational information, some short response questions, a required budget document upload, required letter of support document upload, and then also the opportunity to upload photos, renderings, et cetera, that are related to the project. So let's talk about Submittable. So Submittable is an online application platform. It's an application platform that Main Street America has been using for a number of years. So perhaps you're already familiar with it, but wanted to include some slides on it in case you weren't. This is a quick snapshot of what the application looks like on Submittable. So if you see this image, you're in the right spot. To start the application, you'll need to create a login for Submittable. When creating your login, we highly encourage you to use an email address that you monitor. Main Street America will use the email address that you set as your Submittable username to be sending information regarding your application status, as we'll be using the Submittable platform for the majority of our initial communications. So when you open up the application, you'll have, lovely program details at the top. And as you scroll down, you'll see these orange buttons that allow you to create your account. And if you already have one, to sign on in. But again, make sure if you're creating an account or if you already have an account, that the email address associated with that account is one that you are one that you're paying attention to. I'm the kind of person who loves to do a sign up with a sort of junky email address, but this is not the place for that junky email address. All right. So another really nice feature of Submittable, in addition to having all of the questions laid out and the uploads available in one spot, is you can also collaborate. So you'll be able to add collaborators to your application where you're able to invite your colleagues and your partners to join and help you build up this application should you choose. So I've just highlighted in this photo at the bottom of the screen, the Manage Collaborators hyperlink exists on the application platform. Just click on that and there'll be a place to populate email addresses. I will note that collaborators will also need to have a Submittable account. So make sure that the folks who you're asking to join in the collaboration of the application have created a Submittable account and that you're using the email address that they've chosen to associate with that Submittable account when you add the collaborators. Okay, so thinking now about the application fields, the application will include basic organizational information, some short response questions, that required budget, document upload, required letter of support, opportunity to upload photos and renderings related, but let's dive a little deeper. So the basic organizational information you'll be asked for is the title of your project, your email and phone. Again, noting that most of our communication with applicants will occur via Submittable. So the email address that you use, that you populate in the application itself, it's best if that reflects the email you use to set up your Submittable account. We ask for the applicant organization's name and address. This is also a key way that we are checking to make sure that the applications we're receiving are in one of those select counties, select states. Main Street America member organizations will be asked for their member number. If you don't know your member number, you can reach out to our membership team. Sylvie, who's one of our panelists here, will most likely be responding to your email. So please feel free to reach out to get that information. We also ask for details on the applicant organization's previous experience leading a local placemaking initiative. Previous experience is not necessary. If you have it, we'd love to hear about it. But if not, we do ask about, the organization's capacity and expertise to manage such an initiative. So not having experience does not knock you out, but we just ask the follow-up of tell us more about your expertise. Thinking now about the short response questions. The short response questions really mirror the criteria that we talked about at the beginning of our conversation. So the first and sort of beefiest application question we have is to tell us about your project idea. So describing how it represents innovative, experimental, creative entrepreneurial approaches to local place-based placemaking. And the maximum on this question is 1,000 words. The next three are all a little bit more brief than that. We ask to hear more about your community, right? So who are the folks in your community? Who are the folks that this project will be serving? We ask about specific demographics, population size, primary employers, et cetera. This is a 250 word for your response question. The second of the 250 questions is to talk about how your project takes into consideration the lived experiences and abilities of all of your community members. So this is where we really ask you to talk about, how are you engaging in an equitable and inclusive way through this placemaking initiative? Again, this ties into the GM principles, priorities that Brendan highlighted earlier. It also ties into Main Street America and our belief that Main Streets are for everyone. So this question is really hoping to get at that question, that consideration. The last question we ask across the board in the last 250 question is to talk about the impact this project will have on your community. We all know that placemaking has a huge impact on downtowns from an economic development perspective, from a community engagement perspective, from an aesthetic perspective. And this quick question just asks about how you see this project impacting your community, as well as how it could be modeled or scaled for other Main Street programs. All right, and then there's a little chunk of the application that asks for some uploads. So again, there's 3 required uploads and 1 optional field. The 3 requireds: first, an itemized budget showing how the grant funds will be used. We also ask for letters of support. All applicants must submit at least 1 letter of support, but you can submit up to 3. And certainly this application, this program is the more you can provide to us, the more of the story you can share with us, the more partners and community members and volunteers whose voices we can hear in this program, in this application, the stronger your application will be. So again, at least 1, but if you do 3, that definitely beefs up an application. We also ask that applicants who are not Main Street America members submit a letter of support from their MSA member organization. That's not required, but we are looking to see, is there that partnership there between your cultural institutions, your, other downtown nonprofits, and you, to really be showing that sort of partnership and engagement in this project and this work. We also ask for a photo of your downtown or commercial district. That need not be the specific site that the project is happening at. It just needs to sort of give us a quick snapshot of what your downtown looks like. And then optional always is the supporting documentation like project renderings, artist bios, photos of implementation space, et cetera. So again, this is a space where, the more of your story you can share with us, the more information we'll have when the review committee is looking at your application and all other applicants. So eligible file types, just wanted to put this here. These are, we try to do as sort of all-encompassing a job as we can when it comes to accepting all types of files. If you have an issue with the file you're trying to upload, you can reach out to us and we're happy to provide support. But just wanted to have a space where you could see where all the file extensions that we're accepting are. Okay, a timeline snapshot. So again, applications opened October 31st. Those applications will close December 2nd. The application review period, which will be happening with Main Street America, with GM, that will be running from December 3rd to January 20th of next year. How is it almost 2023? Anyways, we'll be running through 20th of 2023. All applicants will be notified of their application status the last week of January 2023. This is a great place to make sure that you're checking your emails to receive an email from Submittable, as again, that communication from us about your application status will be sent to you via Submittable. So that is, again, why we ask that the email address that is set up with Submittable be one that you're monitoring. In February, we're going to disperse those 6 grantees, the 6 grant awards, the 6 grantees. Again, all applicants will be notified of their status regardless, but the February timeline is where those 6 disbursements are made. And then February to August is the project implementation period, where we are, checking in to see how you're doing, not from like a pressure perspective, but from a pure enthusiasm perspective. And then August 31st is the last day that projects need to be completed by. Following that time, we'll ask for a report just to hear more about your experience and gather final photos from you. So to get started on all this good, exciting program information, you can visit mainstreet.org/howwecanhelp/GM Innovation Grant. You will be able to access all the program details, the terms and conditions, as well as this beautiful yellow button to apply now, which will take you directly to the application on Submittable. And that's all I have. Thank you all so much for joining us. Again, this recording will be made available after this conversation. You can visit the mainstreet.org/howwecanhelp/GM Innovation Grant for more information and to apply. And you can send additional inquiries to mainstreet@savingplaces.org. I'm recognizing, that's like we have 15 minutes left in this conversation. Bethany, Katie, Sylvie, Brendan, any other things you want to highlight and closing remarks here?
I had a couple thought questions that might be helpful for the audience. One, so you pointed out that it can be beneficial to put together 3 letters of support because it just shows more engagement with community partners and so on. What about the budget? Is there any recommendations, or have you ever had issues with folks that don't put together a budget complete? And then I was also wondering, I couldn't remember how the application was built, if there's a limitation on what can be submitted as far as the optional documents.
Yeah.
So any guidance on those 2, upload pieces of the application?
Yeah, thank you. So in terms of the budget, certainly the more details that could be provided there in terms of how that 25,000 is going to be used, the easier it will be for our reviewers to understand where that money is going and how that money is being dispersed and implemented. And so when the review panel gets together to look at the application in full, there will be a feasibility question related to the budget. So again, the more applicants can demonstrate where that money is going, that itemization of how that money is being used, the better they will score, the better the application will score in terms of feasibility. Just again, the understanding of the narrative of how the grant is going to be used. And then in terms of the uploads, I believe the limit is 3 individual uploads for the optional pieces. That said, if you have a team of 10 artists that you're using to do a mural or whatever else, you of course can shuffle all of those into one PDF with 10 pages of artist bios or what have you, and upload that PDF. But I believe it's 3 distinct uploads.
And also, I would think on the budget, it would be helpful in the instances when you pointed out where we will consider projects that cost more than $25,000, but it will be very helpful for us to understand where this grant money comes into the financing of the project and how it's going to help get it through to the finish line. So if you mention it, but it's ambiguous and that's not clear to us on the budget. So if it is a more complicated project as far as funding goes, I would recommend showing all of the funding sources in addition to the explicit uses as the way these grant monies specifically will get deployed. So those are 2 thoughts I can think of on that upload piece.
It's a great recommendation. Thank you. All right. Well, without any other questions coming into the chat or from our lovely team of panelists here, I'm happy to give all attendees back 15 minutes in their day. Again, thank you so much for joining. We're excited to see the applications for your projects or projects in your community start coming in and submittable, and we look forward to chatting with you further if you have more questions or when your application is in. So thank you so much and have a great afternoon, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Abby. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Everyone.